Ladies and gentlemen, I just don't know how to feel about the current conversations surrounding UFOs and aliens. Don't get me wrong, I'm a believer. I always have been. But I come from a time where UFOs and aliens were a conspiracy. I come from a time where, as I was doing my research into alien life, learning about the Greys, the Tall Whites, the Anunnaki, the Reptilians, as you're learning some of the entry-level things about aliens and UFOs, I just remember how the experts would approach the alien situation. I remember how the scientists used to approach this topic, and they would say, there's no way alien life exists. How could they survive without oxygen? How could they survive without water? Only Earth can sustain life. Those were like the arguments and conversations that used to be had just a few years ago. And when I was growing up doing my research into aliens and the unexplained. But now it's like every other day, there's a new study. There's a new, oh God, Harvard professors have come together and stated that aliens are living on Earth disguised as humans. And no, that's not a joke. They literally released a report about that just a couple of weeks ago. I made a video about it. It's real. All of this is really happening. As crazy as it may sound, if you're someone that's not aware of what's going on in the news right now about aliens, every single day there's a new news story. Every single day there's a new report. We are being overloaded, like bombarded with stuff, and I can't help but be kind of skeptical. At first, when the government and the Pentagon, when they started, acknowledging that UFOs are real, or UAPs are real, I was happy. I was excited. I was looking around wondering why other people weren't as excited. But now, over the past few months, after being bombarded with all types of new information and new studies and new expert opinions and this professor and that professor and this scientist, it's starting to feel like a little much. And my question is, have the floodgates just opened? So now everyone's, comfortable talking about this topic. You're no longer considered crazy or a conspiracy theorist for believing in aliens. So are we flooded with this much information because now it's socially acceptable to talk about this topic? Or are we being overloaded and bombarded with information and opinions to muddy the water, to take us even further from the truth than what we already were? Because it will feel, and to some, it will seem like we're getting closer to the truth. But with all of this conflicting information, there's a whistleblower, this report, that report, it feels like we're being dragged in all of these different directions. And a lot of people are kind of losing sight of the target. And the conversation surrounding aliens went from, okay, let's hammer down if they're real or not, to, all right, well, let's explain it with this way. Well, let's explain it that way. And it's just so much. It's so much. And I think for the average person coming in, it's so much that it automatically turns them off. And they're just like, listen, I can't deal with all of this. You know what I mean? Because at some point, sometimes you have to dumb things down or give people a watered down basic version for them to come in, kind of understand, kind of grow accepting before you lay it on them too thick. But right now it's like they're laying it on us really thick, like just multiple layers of peanut butter. But talking about new studies and new alien reports, apparently new reports are suggesting that aliens are building these megastructures in outer space. I can't even begin to explain it. So let's go ahead and roll this news clip, and then I'll be right back with more thoughts.
In the search for signs of intelligent life, there's a new study that may suggest we are not alone. A group of researchers have identified at least 7 stars that might be surrounded by advanced megastructures known as Dyson spheres. Dyson spheres, what? Emily Finn joins us now to tell us more about this. Emily, Dyson spheres, possible megastructures, all of this is a lot to take in.
It certainly is. It might freak you out, it might pique your interest. I mean, it's certainly interesting. The thought is that potential superior intelligent life might be creating buildings or devices to harness energy around their home stars or planets, creating these so-called alien megastructures. This newly released study published by a group of researchers in the monthly notices of the Royal Astronomical Society specifically looks at the theory around Dyson spheres and finds at least 7 stars might be surrounded by these alleged alien structures already. The aliens, I guess, have been busy. The group looked at infrared heat near stars located within 1,000 light years from Earth, a type of heat that can't otherwise be explained. It all stems from a theory from 1960s physicist Freeman Dyson, who believed if these structures in fact existed, scientists on Earth might be able to pick up on those infrared waves. News Nation spoke with Jana Levin, a professor of astronomy and physics at Barnard College and at Columbia University, who casts doubt on the possible alien origins of what these researchers are observing.
We are in a new era in terms of our understanding of how prevalent planets are and how planets are absolutely prolific in the universe. And that really suggests that life is prolific. The question is whether or not life can easily reach the phase of industrialization and building things and exploring space.
So this studies team had some pretty advanced tech. They used 2 active telescopes that are in space right now to conduct their research, but there is no conclusive evidence quite yet to determine what exactly is happening around these stars. Nick, do you think it might be alien structures?
I don't know if they're alien structures, but it seems as though the evidence suggests it's something that they want to figure out. Right?
Certainly something.
Yeah, definitely. Emily, thank you so much. A little bit creepy, though.
Have you guys gotten used to this yet? Because this still feels so foreign to me. Turning on the news and they're just casually talking about aliens and UFOs. Like, I know there's so much going on in the world, but I don't want us all to gloss over this. Because this wasn't a reality a few years ago. And I know it makes me feel so old, but I always say, hey, when I was growing up, things weren't like this. But they weren't. And I'm in my 30s, folks. It's not like I'm an 80-year-old dude saying, hey, back in my day, they weren't talking about aliens. No, like 5 or 6 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. You wouldn't turn on the news and they just casually discuss aliens like it's nothing. It's not a taboo topic. You know, it's just, here's aliens over here building megastructures. And at the end of the day, I don't know if all of this, like I was explaining earlier, I don't know if they're overloading us with information to turn people off, to drag people in the wrong direction, or if this is just the natural way that things are playing out because now we can discuss this topic without being scrutinized. But when you turn on the news and you're seeing these conversations being had, for me and you, it seems really weird, right? For a lot of us, it seems really weird because we're not used to stuff like this. But the generation, the kids that are growing up these days, they're not going to know a reality where you turn on the news and they're not talking about aliens. They're going to see that. They're going to be exposed to that. Therefore, their acceptance, if tomorrow aliens were to land right in front of all of us on a national television, you know what I'm saying? Their acceptance levels, their acceptance rate. The kids growing up these days are going to be way more accepting. Because when I was growing up, when you were growing up, UFOs were something that were considered fake or considered crazy to even believe in them. But now kids are growing up, they're eating their bowl of cereal and I guess you don't really flip through TV channels, but on the odd chance that they see the news, here they are casually talking about aliens. So, at the very least, whatever is going on here, at the very least, I feel like they're preparing people. And we might not even see it in our lifetimes. Maybe our kids will see it. Maybe our grandkids will see it. But they're getting society prepped. They're getting society desensitized. And they're making sure that society is going to be more accepting of the possibility of other creatures, other entities, other life out there, regardless if it's life from outer space or it's demons and angels or whatever the hell the explanation is. The reason why they're talking about it on the news so much, and I do believe there may be multiple motives, but it's going to make people more comfortable with the reality that we're not alone. And I don't believe we're alone for 1 second. But there's a lot of people, if they knew for a fact that we weren't alone, it would shatter the fabrics of their reality. And I don't know how a lot of people are going to operate if they throw religion out the window and their whole, view of reality is challenged and basically destroyed. But let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all very soon in the next one.